call the Palmyra Town Board, special board meeting to order. Thursday, February 6th, 6 p.m., Palmyra Town Hall, W 1125, Highway 106, Palmyra, Wisconsin. Roll call.
Sawyer.
Here.
Maskey.
Here.
Martins.
Here.
I'll call the Airport Commission meeting to order. We have roll call for this one.
Yes, Mitchell here, Cal here, Louis Radecki's here, Elboy here. Okay, we have Frank and Frank, double round.
Here. Okay, pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Certification of compliance with open meetings law.
Yes, the agendas will post all time.
That's for both boards.
For both boards, yeah.
Okay. Public comment, is there any public comment tonight? No public comment? Okay, I'm reading this for both boards. Discussion regarding outstanding tax bill for airport hangars, status of village/town attorney meeting with Jefferson County Corporation Counsel, update from the town chair regarding discussion with village related to tax bill, and possible discussion regarding alternate methods to handle the outstanding real property bill. Who wants to start?
Have we met with corporate counsel?
No, we have not met with corporate counsel yet. We had coordinated with Stan Riffle, the attorney for the village, to set up a phone conference with corporate counsel, Jefferson County. That was to happen today at 11 a.m. Unfortunately, attorney Riffle had to reschedule that, so we are scheduled to do that on Monday.
And if that does not happen Monday, we will take the lead and make sure it happens,
Yes.
because we've lost valuable time.
Okay, one thing that I was asked to do was to reach out to the village president, Kathy Weiss, about paying the airport commission agreed to put up to $2,000 for this reassessment. I did reach out to her about paying the other $5,000. However, she simply told me, first of all, she can't make that decision herself, but there would be no reason to do that before the two attorneys met with the corporation counsel. So that's what that's. Questions?
That's it, Jeff.
Al's got a question.
Speak right up over there.
Sometimes I gotta sit on these things a little bit and maybe even pray about them a little bit. But it seems to me that the village has sent the town a tax bill for property they don't own. In other words, Frank, if you were sent a bill for somebody else's property, are you liable to pay that bill or not? You don't own it.
I'm not gonna say that, no.
There you go. What has happened is the village has sent the town a bill for property they do not own. You do not own the hangars.
Right.
So therefore, I can't see where there was any liability on your behalf or on the airport commission to pay a tax bill that isn't ours.
I agree with you.
And this is one reason why we were hoping to have the meeting with Jefferson County before tonight's meeting, and so it's kind of frustrating that that hasn't happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And that's why I would like you to take the lead on it. If the village's attorney keeps pushing it off, no offense.
I'm just an observer.
And I think I can kind of, been doing research since our meeting with the village, and my thoughts is that what the county will say, and I'm kind of just guessing here because I haven't talked to the county yet, but I think they'll probably say is that, you know, if one owner, which is the town in this case, wants separate tax bills, then for, say, a certified survey map of however many acres split up, then they should make that request in writing for the separate tax bill. So I could see them potentially pushing that back.
Didn't we make that request? Go ahead, Al. Speak right up.
Once again, I question that because the town isn't taxed on their land. The only thing that this bill coming from the village is for is tax on the buildings that are on that property. And as such, the town doesn't owe it, they have no legal responsibility to pay it. In my estimation.
Gentlemen?
Go
ahead.
Go ahead, John.
Since our meetings with all of this going on, I've had 3 separate phone calls with Representative Duco's office for probably about an hour or so worth of conversation. The last one was about a half an hour long. Grand scheme of this, just to potentially frame some of the beyond county perspective on it. They asked for some background, they asked for some information, what the town has discussed, what the hopes and dreams of this whole thing are. One of which being, I'll say, dividing the individual hangars and legal descriptions and kind of going back the way that this was personal property tax. Pointed out the statute that was created as part of Act 12 and the fact that it says may in 3 different locations, and if one of them only said shall, then it pretty much wouldn't squash the whole thing. As a result of those conversations, Representative Duco's representatives have reached out and requested a formal legislative council review of the statute to see 2 things. One, is there a straightforward amendment process that could be done if it is not changing? Obviously, it's changing the intent of the statute, but if it's not dramatically recreating it. Or would they have to go through a full legislative process for amendment to the state statute? They have yet to get back to me. The last conversation I think I had was last Wednesday or Thursday maybe. And in the grand scheme of things, in the future moving forward part, I said, I'm assuming that 3 to 6 months window is very short to get an amendment made. And they both said yes, because if you look at the originating language of when it was an assembly bill, it was roughly 18 months from the time the assembly bill was introduced until the time that it was signed through. So this isn't just a this year thing, it's more than likely going to be a next year thing too, because if the state law exists, then we have to follow it. But in the big picture of things, whether there's apparently 2 other airports in the state of Wisconsin that her office is aware of, one of which happens to be in the Assembly Speaker's district, so maybe we'll have a little more forward push on that if it's a very local issue to them. Nonetheless, I don't think this is something that is going to go away, like, by the time the first installment is due. So, as far as the outstanding real property bill, unless there's some dramatic moment that comes out of it, I think we have to seriously consider either posting it on Monday's agenda item for action. I don't remember how it's worded right now, but I know we tabled it from the last meeting to February. to seriously consider paying the bill before we're just sitting on late fees for no reason. To the point of whether or not it's really the town's problem, let Attorney McDonald provide us some context on that at some point. But one of the parts of the statute says if buildings, improvements, and fixtures, but not the underlying land, and is leased to a person other than the landowner, or if the buildings, improvements, and fixtures are owned by the person other than the landowner, the assessor may create separate tax parcels, improvements, send the tax bills out. So it specifically calls in paragraph above that exempt land, which is what we are. And it more or less says if there's improvements that are leased, so ultimately us fighting the fact that the village sent the town a tax bill. Representative Duco's office is also now aware of the whole open book board of review timing issue that they had. Again, they generally agreed with the statements that have been made, is it's not the village's problem to make sure it gets delivered, it's their problem to make sure that they're sent, which is what it is. There's potentially some mailing address issues, but
Josh, what statutes are you quoting from there?
7017.
70.17?
Yep.
All right, what year?
What year? It was created in 2023.
Okay, that one might be outdated. They come up with some new ones in 25 now. It may still be the same, but there's newer revision in 2025.
What's that?
It wouldn't matter if it was changed in 2025, I'm sorry, because the tax bill is for the previous year.
I pulled this off the internet
Yeah, from Wisconsin State,
7 days ago,
yeah.
and the revision date at the bottom is 2023 created. So
If I was showing 2025 was revision.
I don't think the legislature is passing yet the governor's signature.
The question that I would have is because the township is not the taxing authority, nor is the airport commission, what recourse is there if people decide not to pay? You've got no legal authority to collect that tax.
That's another question we've got.
That's essentially item number 2 on here, is the collection of the real property tax from the tenants. I mean, I don't know what other information under possible discussion regarding, in the grand scheme of this, I think I know why the agenda item is framed this way, where it says possible discussion regarding alternate methods to handle the outstanding real property tax or real property bill, is because I brought up the potential special assessments. That obviously would be an alternative. Whether or not we could do it is the use of local police powers to put special assessments on it. I brought the question up, so I don't know if that's where this part came in or not. Ultimately, I think item number 2, it has to deal with the collection of it, which sort of is the same thing as item number 1.
Talk about these together, it's all longer.
Yeah, you should specify as to which one we talk about.
Let me read that second paragraph. Possible discussion regarding town, airport commissions, or village ability to collect the real property taxes from tenants. Possible discussion regarding airport hangar leases, including lease language regarding collection of taxes and or fees and pending update of said lease form. And possible discussion regarding airport commission ordinance adopted by town and video surveillance from the airport garage. They're all talk about.
So these aren't really listed individually, so are they one agenda item, or should we make a motion to combine discussion on paragraph 2 with the discussion on paragraph 1.
Yeah, probably make a motion because they are separated by paragraph. Each paragraph they are separate.
And the airport commission board would have to do the same thing if they would like to talk about it during the session. Okay. So I would make a motion that the town board, combine the discussion of paragraph 1 and paragraph 2.
Three also, or?
That's not my motion.
Okay. Motion's been made to combine paragraph 1 and paragraph 2 for discussion. Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Gentlemen, motion?
For motion, that paragraph 1 and 2 be discussed. For discussion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Well, I guess to Mr. Borey's point, I think that there would be a mechanism for future years to any unpaid tax could be put on the future tax bill as a special assessment. So one person would have to pay their assessed real property for this year. That I believe that there is a mechanism where it can be applied for collection on the future one. I think another point is that what would be important and probably due to the statute we to revision is to have uniform lease agreements for the airport, because that can also provide a recourse for collection of unpaid tax.
Could you say your last sentence again? What was it about recourse? Did you say the word police?
It could provide a recourse.
That is in the lease. It's that taxes are responsibility.
Right.
Oh,
So to that point,
property.
we've got a copy of a lease that was created in 2003, I believe. And most of them signed in 18. So I don't know if this is different than the
Yeah,
old lease.
that is an older lease.
However, that lease has been signed by probably, I think, half the,
Well, probably more than that.
more than half have signed that lease, and they were offered a revised new lease maybe 3 years ago to sign, with which about half took advantage of. But the language is the same regarding the collection of taxes.
That part I would agree with you. So the one that obviously Don Hagan wasn't around in 2023 when the other leases, the second generation or latest generation came out. So the tax portion of it leaves it to the leasee. The leasee shall pay all taxes or assessments that may be levied against the personal property of the leasee or the building which he may erect on lands leased exclusively to him. So that's the old lease. The new one essentially has the exact same language. So if we get in a predicament where, let's just say, the town sends out the 60 representative or whatever number it is, 60 representative tax bills, and no one collects them, or I should say receipts them to us, then they're in violation of their lease. And then the lease would go through essentially, call it the eviction process, if you want to call it that. So not to talk around or outside of you guys, but from the ownership standpoint of this, the most foolproof way that I think we proceed is with the documentation that, aside from the few that there aren't leases for, potentially, that we use the leases that the Airport Commission distributed to the leasees, and if the people don't pay the taxes, then they're in violation of their lease. this isn't the same thing as the stormwater discussion that's gone on about some people didn't wanna pay stormwater fees. Stormwater fees is not included in the narrative of the leases, so that's my own opinion.
Well, in my opinion, you still haven't addressed the authority of the town to tax individual hangar owners.
We're not taxing them. We could craft a letter to all of the leasees that says, the town has been provided an itemized list, which we have been, the valuation of which for your hangar is X. Per the lease, please remit payment. And leave it at that. And if people don't remit, like the lease says, the leasees have to pay the tax. And if they don't pay the tax, regardless of if the town, the village doesn't appreciate getting 60 checks, I quite frankly don't care at this point from individual people.
Where's
But
my recourse as a hangar owner to challenge the value?
that is, I understand your point. In the big picture of things, that is a related, but I think separate issue, which is how did the people get noticed? And that, I
That's
understand your point.
74.09, I think. It's about notification with open book. Is where that's supposed to, that
And
should have been done.
That from the taxing authority, taxing jurisdiction standpoint, that town's got zero dog in because we're not the taxing jurisdiction. So ultimately, I think that my own opinion again is that that becomes a hangar leasee owner Village of Palmyra thing, fundamentally.
But at the same
Whether-
time, chapter 74.07 says the treasurer is responsible for collection of taxes and other special fees also.
I don't know what statute you're talking about.
The same about,
What, like,
point 10 above yours.
you just said
It says, the
74.
statutes,
What's the title of
I just go by chapter number 74.07.
We're looking at chapter 70.
Yeah.
Give him a minute, he's looking up on his phone.
Well, if he's doing that, Jonathan, how would we're not a taxing authority, so how would we go to the hangar owners and say you have to pay this tax?
I think also goes back to Josh's point, is to say, we have this tax bill, we need to get it paid. You are
For the lease.
responsible for the lease,
Okay.
for payment. I totally agree that, what is the recourse for someone who doesn't agree with the number that we do, that they, I don't know what that recourse is. All I know is from the perspective of the town, we can enforce it through the leases that they are responsible for. Someone could get into some small claims suit about it, I suppose, over what would be a couple $100, but, right, and, but ultimately, someone could,
Chapter 74.07 where it starts. It's got a line about taxes. You don't wanna read that.
Chapter 74 is property tax. 7407.
That's more or less the beginning.
Yeah.
That's treasurer's part.
Right, so chapter 74 is the statute regarding property tax collection.
We're not collecting property.
And 7407 says the taxation district treasurer and county treasurer shall collect the general property tax, special assessment, special taxes, and special charges shown on the tax roll. So again, like, if you're saying treasurer, that would be village treasurer, but that's property tax. Chapter 70 was created as part of Act 12 regarding real property tax.
So they're going a little bit different set of things and no open book on that?
Well, that's one of the argument pieces that the legislature needs to figure out, is that if they're taxing property as though it's real estate, because kind of they are.
Well, I don't see where anybody should pay until after they've had their chance to see what the open books are.
I mean,
Well, that won't even happen till next year, right? It would all go, Jonathan? That won't even happen till next year. So that's, when is that? You know, when is it, the Lord?
Yeah, it's sometime in April or May.
So meanwhile, clock's ticking. We chose not to pay the taxes by the end of January, so we haven't paid it. That's why it's going back on the agenda Monday. Discuss that.
and mind you, open book and board of review in 2025 is for the 2025 taxes to be collected in 2026. It's not like board of review and open book for 24 is wrong. So the argument of formally through the process of open book and board of review, that process is over. You can still contest your assessment, 100% agree with you on that. But it would be for years moving forward.
But was anybody notified of open books for the taxes are being charged now?
John, we found out approximately, if I'm wrong, 1 week. Was it like 1 week at the most, Al? It was even 7 days. And then we were scrambling
It
to
was
scramble.
It was less than 48 hours before board of review, because we
That's
instructed.
after open book.
Well, and I did go to the board of review, or for the last meeting that they had,
Board of review.
and they did change, tax assessment on a lot that I own. And they were in agreement with that, but they would not visit anything to do with the airport.
Because
So,
the
like,
town,
Which I found extremely frustrating.
And admittedly, they're also probably relying on statute, which is if you don't make an appointment for board of review within 48 hours before board of review, you don't have an appointment. They can still allow you to come in and state your piece, but Frank and I have done board of review here for the last 2 years, and the assessor has made it absolutely clear when we start the meeting is that there was no one that signed up for board of review. So we sit here for whatever it is, an hour and a half, and if anybody comes in, we can make a motion as the board of review to allow, let's say, Al Borey to speak to parcel XYZ, but we don't have to. And that's,
I understand that. I served on the board of review for the village of Palmyra for a number of years. But I guess my statement is that this whole thing was handled poorly from the beginning. And the fact that I realize crap rolls downhill, okay, but it seems to me to be an awful frustrating situation, you know, to both the airport commission, the hangars owners, and to the board, to the town board. I mean, I can certainly understand where you're coming from. But the fact that a procedure was not followed, that falls back to the taxing authority. And that's what I find frustrating. You know, this should have come up because, as I stated in the beginning, you don't own the building. So even if you'd have gotten notification and went up and contested it, what would you contest? Because you don't own the damn building. So, okay, well, I said my piece.
yeah,
I'd just like to say that as a hangar owner and the board guy, when I first came here, I got tax bills every late November, December from the town of Palmyra. I looked at it, wrote on check and paid for it. Somewhere in there, it switched from town to village, I don't know, 3-6 years ago. I built a village, I looked at it, and I paid for it. This 24, I've got nothing. I'm waiting for something from the village so I can pay it. So why isn't the village sending? They have my address, they've had it for 3-5 years, whenever they start taxing hangar owners, why aren't they doing their job? Just go ahead and, or put down the bill that was in the year prior. Send me the old bill. If they can't figure out how to do the assessment, send me the bill, I'll write out a check and I'll pay it. I do it every time, I have no problem.
We should-
my question is, why is the village doing their job now? And to follow through on that, all these funds going to the village for whatever years, it's approximately $20,000 going to the village every year since they took over. Where's that $20,000+ going back into the airport? They took the money. I didn't see them plow the roads. I didn't see them cut the grass. I didn't see them do anything. That's my concern. They're getting all this money for years and years, and they're not doing anything with it. They're not putting it back into the authority that they took it from. Pay some grass seed, do something.
Obviously, several people in here agree with
Yeah.
you. I'm sure of that. Michelle, now, one more time. We have a taxi amount for every parcel out there.
We have an assessment for the hangars, yes, but I asked the assessor for an engagement.
Okay, so there's a dollar amount affixed to those, but you're just not taxing.
No, the tax bill came to the town as the owner of the property, and the village has actually done exactly what the statute says. The village and the county, they have billed the owner of the property.
So there's an amount attached to every one of the 60 whatever parcels out there. And this goes back to what Jonathan and Stan Riffle are gonna try and meet with the Corporation Council to get a decision on that, where they just give them numbers, is that right? And go from there. That's still not gonna help us for this tax year, right? So that'll be, should get figured out before next year, I'm certain, one way or the other. But, I guess it's down to a matter of, should we pay the taxes and.
At the last town board meeting, we delayed discussion until the upcoming meeting.
Right.
And we agreed not to pay it last month and have this meeting, try to get with Jefferson County. My question is, to Josh's point about if we would change our votes and vote to go ahead and pay it, what support would the airport commission give the town? And I know Josh and Jonathan have commented that through the lease, we can make that request. But I'd like to hear the airport commission, what support would we get from the airport commission to actually get the hangar owners to pay that?
We aren't a taxing authority.
Neither are we. I'm asking what support,
All we can
Would
do
you
is
issue-
say, please pay it. Okay,
and how will you do that? Word of mouth, through an official letter from the airport commission?
we have an
Just
email-
asking how you'll support that.
We have an email, list of the hangar owners that Jeff has, that he could send out a notice. You know, that this is gonna be common, please consider paying.
Consider, if you
Who are
say
they gonna pay
consider
it to?
payment, you're giving them the option.
So you just be directed to pay the,
If the town pays the bill, you have to pay.
no, but I mean the email though. When he sends out an email, he's gonna tell them to send it to their address, the money.
Well, if they're gonna pay the bill.
Yeah, okay, cause I don't want Jeff to have to collect,
No,
the money.
no,
so it would just be telling them to pay directly to the town.
And that wasn't my question.
right.
I know,
Support
but
in having them pay it, not collect it for us.
As a hangar owner, if you send me a bill, whatever my portion is, I'll write out the check and send it.
Appreciate that, I'm not sure everybody
I don't think everybody's gonna do that.
takes the
but-
same approach. So, well, part of our discussion Monday night will be, obviously, what do we do going forward with this? Having the airport commission on board, supporting something, may convince us to potentially change our votes on how we structure that, that's my opinion, okay?